And good afternoon, everyone. What's happening? I am Steve Leahy. This is Thursday Live, for lack of a better title. We're still working on that. I never think about it till we start, actually, Thursday, that I need a new title for this. But it's Thursday Live for now. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hello to everyone over in the UK. Hope you're getting off of work and relaxing a little bit. Today, there's a bunch of stuff going on. So there's a few things that we can work on. I had planned on working on the razor blade painting again today. It'll be the last live for this painting, and then I'm going to just finish it up. I really want that in the store for the sale that's coming up, which I will let you guys know about in a few minutes. So that painting I need finished. So I'll probably finish out the week on my own and knock that out. I still have to make the frame for it, or I've already cut the frame pieces, but I got to put them together, sand them, and finish them. But that's all got to be done, and that's a week's worth of work right there. So I really want to get that locked up. I do have some cool stencils from both Air 6 Stencils and Tommy Ham, and I thought I'd do a little quick demo with one of Tommy's stencils today as well. So we got a couple things to work on, and then I have all my 543s, but we'll do that, as we go. So that's what we got. All right, before I switch things around, I want to show you guys, well, you guys will see the benefits of this in a minute, but I can't show you this unless I actually show it to you on this camera. But if I move this out here, I finally got the little Canon adapter ring, this guy right here. So this allows me to now put all my SLR lenses onto this mirrorless camera that I just got. So now I have this crazy macro thing going on. Very, very cool. So you'll get the full effect of that in a few minutes as I goof around with this and get this ready so you don't have quite the headache when we're done. All right. There we go. Yeah, we'll mess around with that as we go. All right, let's do it. So let me switch to super macro lens now. I'm not going to be using this on everything. I figured I'd use this today because it's going to work so well on the close-up stuff. But it's not going to be something that I'll do, in every single feed, just because it is so tight in. Like I can't really do the farther back shots because of the way the camera is. It just won't. You have to be far away to get it to work. So let me just readjust this and we'll get this kind of where we want it. Oh, this stand is awesome. There we go. So since I'm doing this, I might as well do this too. So this is the sale. So the sale that's running, actually it's running right now, but it's not going to be actually officially announced until Black Friday. But the code for the sale is SL22. And what it'll do is it'll give you 30% off everything in the store. And that sale is not just for Black Friday. It's going to run right till the first of the year. Hello, Dan, Teresa. What's up, Steve? So that sale is going to run through the first of the year, and that is on everything on the store. I can't exclude items sometimes from sales. I can only, pick like one item for sale or all the items for the sale. So the included in that is actually the commissions for the 543s, which are usually not discounted. But if you want me to paint your own 543 and you type in SL22, it'll get you 30% off that as well. So if you want a 543 of your very own but don't want to wait, that's a good way to do it. It also counts on, like I said, everything in the store. So all the prints, all the existing 543s, so you can get a great deal. And something that I try not to do too often, and that also discounts full-blown original paintings. So those are also included in that. All right, so enough sales pitchy stuff. Let's get to it. So again, it seems like YouTube is the place where I get all my new stuff. So I just got the lens adapter. So this will be our new adventure in close-up stuff. And we'll see how it goes. I got a chance to do a quick dry run with it earlier, but we're still working out some of the ins and outs. So what's really nice, and let me turn on that. What's really nice is so you see the overhead view now, and you can't see the camera. This camera is now a good, 18, 20 inches away from the board. It's nowhere near in my way, but you guys are like right on top of this right now. So it's going to help a lot for just kind of getting stuff done. So Derek, what's up? Excellent. So I think what I'll do first, instead of working on this, which I had planned on, I'm going to do a quick demo with the Tommy Ham stencil, which is kind of cool because this just came in. So if you're not familiar with Ham Art, it's Ham Art stencils, and they are at hamairartmyshopify.com. If you just look up Ham Art stencils or check him out on his Facebook or Instagram pages, the links will get you to his shop. But he cuts all these really cool stencils. He sent me, I ordered a couple, and then he sent me a few too. So where are they? That's the other thing too. I had to make a new stencil holder because I didn't have enough room on the stencil holder for all the new stencils. Here they are. They were just tucked below. So I ordered a couple of these. This one, they're not marked, so I had to mark them. This is actually, this is Messy Michelle, named after Michelle Rowe. Just a cool splatter type template. And then Master Grunge, which is this one here. And they're all just really cool, generic, weird kind of shapes. But he also sent me this one. This one's called Fiber. And it's just a really, really neat stencil. I've been calling it Haystack because I didn't know that's what the name of it was. But very, very cool. And you see the size up above in the the overall view. They're not very big, but still big enough to do all kinds of stuff. So I figured we'd mess around with this today first. And if we have time, I'll do a little bit on the razor blade. That's what I'm thinking. What can go wrong? Let me see if I can get comments up here. Yes, I can. That's the way to do it. That way I can see your comments a little bit easier than having to constantly look over. Simon Carter, what's up? Enzo, what's happening? There we go. All right, good. I don't have anything to paint on though with this. That's going to be an issue. I didn't bring anything to paint on. Yeah, you know what? I'll save Tommy's for another day then, because I really want to kind of mess around with this, but I wanted to prep a board first, and I don't have anything really prepped and ready to go, so we'll skip that for now. But keep an eye out for that. I will do that. What I may end up doing is just do a Tech Tuesday on it too. That might work as well. Might be fun. All right, so let's put this back in here, and I'll tilt it this way for you guys. So you guys can see it, but yeah, nice and close now. So it's working out really well. The lens that I'm using is a 60mm macro lens, a 2.8 macro lens from Canon as well. Like I said, I got it from my DSLR. It is going to mess with, it's going to autofocus for us too. So I'm trying that first. Although I can always switch it to manual focus and just set it and forget it kind of thing. But I want to see how the autofocus works with that. So we'll kind of mess around with it. Today's cheers for me is coffee again. The day drinking on Thursdays is tough. I mean, I'll do it for you guys, but it's tough. So coffee it is. All right, so we're going to jump on. Here's another cool one. This is the splatter one from Tommy Ham as well. So I had to make a new template holder, and I think I did a Tech Tuesday on this too. I'll switch over so you can see it a little bit. So you can see it off the side, but I'll give you the side view of it. There it is right there. So what it is, you can see it up above here. It goes the whole length of the panel. What I did was I just took a piece of 1/2 inch by 1 inch oak, and then I ordered, or I didn't even order it. I went to Home Depot and just grabbed a old-timey spring door spring. And then it comes with hardware, so it comes with 2 little eyelets. 2 little hooks. So I just drilled the holes, hooked it, and then you got to stretch out the spring a little bit, because if you just leave it under, give it a second to refocus here. If you just put the spring on there without pulling it out a little bit, the spring, you can't fit the templates in. But there we go. Come on, baby. But there it is. But that's as easy as it is. And then I just kind of stick my templates in it, and it keeps them all in order, and keeps them all clean and safe and ready to rock. So there is a Tech Tuesday on that if you want to see how I built the smaller, more fancy one, which I use on the other bench, and that's the one I was using before too. Let's get back to this. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Maybe if I do this. There you go. Okay. Thanks, Dirk. Yeah, it's super simple. My other one is really nice. The other one I made up is a little bit smaller. It's 1/2 inch, but it's also exotic wood. I think it's bubinga or something. It's a scrap that I had from framing. And I carved my initials in it and put a magnet knife holder in it and all this other stuff. And it's a little bit, fancier. This one is literally took 10 minutes to put together, and it's ready to go. So, all right. So let's get to it. Let me switch over to here, and I'll show you what we're looking at. And just so you guys have the reference again. There it is. So that's not it. That's all of the images. I didn't want that. I get to see all the pictures. I wanted this one. There you go. All right. So that's the photo I took of this 23 Ford T-Bucket, and I've changed the color and all this fun stuff. So we're just going to jump in from there, but just kind of burn that into your memory for a second, and then we'll get right back on it. I'll leave it there in case we need it. All right. So I was working on the motor. I think that's what I'm going to continue working on, since the motor takes the longest. The motor and the wheels. However, for this painting, I was going to say for this painting, the wheel, you can't really see it, but you can. This front driver's side wheel is like right there. It's a old Krager, not old Krager, but it's a Krager, which is kind of nice. The SS wheel, which is pretty common for hot rods. It's one of my favorite wheels. It's my first. That's my first. I told this story with when I painted the 543. The Krager SS is the first time I realized you could buy wheels for a car. I was a little kid, but it's the first time I realized you could buy wheels and put them on your car, like something fancy. It was pretty cool. So, anyway, Simon, thanks. Yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm like I said, I can't back far up, so I don't know what I'm going to do on Mondays. I can swap out the lens, which will probably be the way that it'll go. But for this stuff, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And like I said, now I'm not like, you no, you can't because I don't have it on. Now I'm not like, I don't have the camera like right here, right in front of me. It works out much better. So, all right. I know, shut up and paint. Let's see, open up the palette here. Try to get my bearings. This is the first I've painted all day. I spent the morning setting up 543s, which I do. I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do I started this bottom section right here where the motor is, where the motor mounts onto the frame and all that. I'm going to finish that section so I can keep going. The other thing I noticed too is that I kind of put this one pipe, this rear pipe in the wrong spot. It needs to be pushed over a little bit, so I'm going to do that too. Yeah, that'll be a good place to kind of get going on this. So what I'm going to do first is there's the Ford logo, and instead of jumping back, I'll just show you my photo. So there's a little plate with a Ford logo on it. I'm going to start with that. That's that little opening right there. So what else is going on, you guys? Anything good as we head into the weekend? Fortunately, the stupid time change thing is caught up between the U.S. and the UK now, so I could be on at my regular time. There was last week I had to be on a little bit later to make it all work, but I'm glad. All right, so that where the mount is, it's already gray, so I think that's all I need to do. But I'll paint around it. I'll get the stuff that's around it first. Again, this one, when it's done, will go on the store, and like I said, if you use that code, you can get this painting for 30% off, which is nice. It'll save you over $300 anyway. Their bucket list is the other T-Bucket painting, razor blade painting. And that is on the site right now. So, and now again, the discount works for that painting as well. So there are only 3 razor blades on the site right now. One is the Gillette Stadium painting, and then there'll be this one, and then T-Bucket, the bucket list painting. Those are the 3 razor blade paintings that are on there right now. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going by the reference. But what I'm also going to do is I got to get a regular, I'll show you. I'm going to take a photocopied, I have one floating around. I do. So I'm going to keep a photocopied, actually this one's got a hole in it. I'll keep a photocopied piece of reference nearby too, because like I said before, it's really nice having the big photo right next to it, but it also tends to cause me to put things in that you couldn't possibly see in this actual scale. So the smaller photocopy just keeps me honest. Drop that in with a magnet over here so I can see what I'm doing. And again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If something happens and it bounces out of focus, let me know that too. The autofocus in these camera lenses, the Canon lenses, are really, really good. But still, you know, a lot can go wrong. So we want to make sure that everything stays where it should be. All right, so I got the orange part there. There's part of the frame here. And then of course the back side of this pipe. Yeah, looks good. Teresa, what is up? All right, so I got some blue here. Still got some active blue on here. So I think I'm going to drop in that Ford logo too. So what I'm going to do, the blue is, even though it's opaque blue, again, when you reduce it really a lot, it becomes transparent. So what I'm going to do first for the logo is I've got blue in here, but I've also got a little bit of white, and that just gives it that strength and opacity back. If I just do the blue, I mean, this worked out well, but sometimes when you just do the blue and it's really reduced, it's very transparent and it actually just turns black. You know, it shows the gray through it and just turns black. That one actually worked out pretty well. But normally what I would do, a fingernail, yeah, Cody, yeah, you never know. So then what I would do is I could take the straight blue. This is just the phthalo blue, and now I can go over that again. And because it's got a base to stand on now, that blue just stays really primary and bright. All right, so that is good. Get the reflections on that. Everything is chrome on this motor. Well, I should say everything that's been painted, you know, engine color is chrome. So the little plate that it's attached to is chrome, and it's got a reflection of the pipes above, which is right here. Like that. And then the area above that where the motor is a lot darker than I have it. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to take some really reduced black, and I'm just going to kind of wash over this a few times to darken this up. I could do this with the airbrush too. The airbrush has no paint in it yet. So, and this is a small enough area that I can do this with the paintbrush, and you won't see like paintbrush strokes, because I want this to be smooth. That's the biggest thing about, you know, trying to fade an area in with the paintbrush. It takes a lot to get that to be seamless, to really be smooth. And if it's in a small area like this, it's easier to do. You don't see it as much. And then in this back section, there's all the other bits and pieces of the firewall and the motor and everything. So so I could just start kind of putting that in with the same color. Thanks, Paul. So this is an instance I talk a lot about, talking to the owners of the cars and, you know, letting them know, you know, when I do paint their car and everything. This is one of those instances that I'm not overly upset that I'm not gonna get a hold of the owner of this car. One, because it's his car, he loves it, he painted it blue, he loves it blue, right? And I just inadvertently switched it to orange, you know. So this is an instance where, you know, I would probably just say, hey, You know, I mean, I might still say, hey, I used your car, but I did this to it. But usually when I do like drastic changes to people's cars, then, you know, it isn't their car anymore. So a good example of that is the painting called Alchemy, which I did of the three-wheeled, Morgan, the three-wheeled Morgan. So I had a buddy, Josh Sweeney, who's just an amazing automobile photographer, took these photos of this three-wheeled Morgan of a friend of his. And it's Gulf Blue, which is Gulf Blue because it's the Gulf gas station. It's a pale blue with the Gulf white and orange stripes, like the gas station. So we had it painted like that. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So I used those photographs to create this painting of this Morgan that I had done. But the thing of it was I was specifically looking to paint a Morgan that was more steampunky, that was like satin black body with all copper parts and that kind of thing. So what I did was I took this guy's car and I changed all the colors on it and changed the wheels and all this other stuff just to make it, you know, kind of work the way I wanted it to. Now he knew I was doing that and he saw it and he liked it, but it wasn't something that he, even though he's into Morgans, it wasn't something that he wanted when it was done, you know, because it wasn't his car. So so it goes, you know, it goes like that sometimes too. I should really paint his Morgan the way he has it. It's a nice car. Well, I guess you can call it a car. In Massachusetts, they're considered motorcycles. They fall under motorcycle rules. But actually, I think in most states here in the US they do, because of the size of the motor and that kind of thing. What I'm not sure, and we had a discussion about it once, and I'm not sure the answer. Maybe someone, well, actually, it was in Massachusetts we were talking about it. I'm not sure in other states, but I believe you can get your motorcycle cert with a Morgan or a Slingshot, which essentially is like driving a car, which to me is kind of dangerous because you're getting your motorcycle license on something that isn't a motorcycle, like literally doesn't work like a motorcycle, and but yet you have your motorcycle license, so you could technically then get on a bike and ride around. So I don't know. On a blade. Oh, awesome. So the paintbrush that I'm using is a Winsor & Newton. It's a watercolor brush. It's their Series 7 brush, and it's double aught, and it's just the round brush, not the miniature brush. They sell a miniature version, which has a shorter bristle to it, but I like the regular, just the 00 from them. It's got a nice size belly, but it's still, the point is amazing on it. So that is the brush. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Simon. So I thought it was true. I thought in Massachusetts, where I got my license, that you could use that or a Spider, you know, another three-wheel vehicle. At least a Spider has controls like a motorcycle. But the Morgan and the Slingshot don't. They have steering wheels and pedals and all that other stuff. So yeah, so I don't know how that works. Seems kind of funny. All right, so the front fender, the driver's side fender, actually comes down farther than I have it. It's a really, and I know why I didn't put it in, because it's super, you can just see it here. It's really thin, that line that runs around the outside. So I couldn't cut that out. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't, it's easier to paint it. So I'm going to treat this the same way that I did the body, essentially, but with one little difference. For the primer for this, I'm going to use just straight up white. And that's because I want that orange to really pop. Again, if I just put the super thin orange on the gray, even though it's opaque orange from Createx, the new opaque orange, it still would like gray out really quickly because it's so reduced. So by putting the white on here first, and actually I'm going to go right up with it because I don't want a weird gap at the top of that, like a weird change in value. It's easier to just repaint the whole thing. So let that white dry, and then I'll grab the orange, and then that'll stand right on there. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks. Is it Gaviria? It's a great name. right, so put out a little orange on the palette. Again, this is the Wicked Opaque Pyrrole Orange, which, like I said, I'm using a lot of the opaques now as standard, like the standard palette, and then building off of that. It's just the binder in it is so nice. It just works all the way around. So still waiting for that to dry. So while that's drying, I think I'll move on and see what else I can do. All right, I might as well correct this pipe. Now, if you look real close, I forget if it was on the Facebook feed or on the the YouTube feed, but I had this in the right spot before, and I actually fixed it. I painted this over with orange, but that was the correct spot for the pipe, so I want to put that back in there. So the pipe itself, the base color was like a real pale blue. I still have it on the palette too, so it makes it convenient. So what I'm going to do to fix this, I'm going to first just put the pipe in the right spot before I take out the old one, because there might be bits and pieces of the old one that I can use. So instead of just kind of deleting the whole pipe and starting all over again, I can maybe snag some of the pieces off the old one. So first is light blue. Now that's in the right spot. Now behind it was orange, so what I'm going to need to do there is I'm going to have to switch to the white and erase the other side of it with white. Now I'm going to use white because I want the orange to show through. Even though it's really dark, I still want the orange to be there, so I'll use white to do that. All right. And I know this looks a lot like the blue next to it, but it is really white. There we go. So it takes a couple coats just to kind of get it on there. Now I got to let that dry too. So while that's drying, I think the fender should be ready to go. So I'm going to grab some of that orange. I'm going to put a little bit of the red oxide in it. That'll kind of add that little rusty color to it, because this color eventually is pretty dark. Palette that out so I get some sort of a point there. So now when I go over the white with the orange, it stands up and it becomes orange. Again, if I just put this orange on the gray, with it reduced like this, it would just you know what, I'll do it over here. So if I do this, see how if I paint the orange stripe over here, you can't even see that it's orange, it just turns darker. So that's what would I mean, not to that extent, because this is a really dark color here, but still it does pretty much the same thing on the base coat gray. It would just get dark and muddy, and that's not what I want. There we go. So we'll let that dry too. And that white now here should be dry. So what I'm going to do, since I've got it already in the brush, the orange, I'm just going to reclaim all that I just painted white. Now this is going to be darker. It's going to be like this color up here, but I need a base to start out on. Because if I just mix up a color that looks like this and paint it down here, it's going to look different, and I don't want that. So I want to try to create, you know, this section down here the same way I did this section up here, by just layering those colors on there, and then I have the best chance of getting it done. Yeah, so after the feed, it's 543s all the time. I've got 5 good ones this week, so the suggestions were excellent. And for those who aren't on the Facebook feed, we do a live feed every Monday night, and I give away a small black and white painting every week. And to get in on it, all you got to do is jump on the feed and make me a suggestion on Monday night, and then you are in to win for the next week. So we've given away over 60 paintings, mostly because of my fault. Like when I screw up, I'm like, we'll give away 2. So, but yeah, we've given away over 60 this year, which is nice. And then what happens on the 1st is the list resets, and then everyone can win again. So you the rule is you can't win twice in a year. So that way we give as much people a chance to win as we can. And it's neat that we've had 60 different people win. So that's fun. All right, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit and keep going. So what I've done is I've kind of painted this whole thing orange. That was kind of a mistake because you can see the ground under here. So I'm gonna correct that right now while that's just kind of hanging out. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna start, actually this time I'll start with a little bit of gray because it's the asphalt that you can see through the bottom. So I don't necessarily need to start that with white. I can start that with the gray. And that pokes down here, but I'm gonna have to build this up because the orange is pretty strong. So just again, just build it up in layers. There we go, that's better. Hit that again in a minute. How are we doing over here? I think this needs another hit too. And this is the difference really between paintbrush and airbrush. Like if this is a bigger painting, I would treat it the same way. So if I needed to put that fender in back here, what I would do is I would airbrush that with some kind of light color first, like white probably, and then I would just hit it with the orange after. The difference there is it would take one pass with the airbrush to give a perfectly smooth, even coat like the side of the body here. But with the paintbrush, it takes a few passes. If you're not careful, it can be, you can see the paintbrush strokes. It isn't really smooth. So that's the big difference between the paintbrush and the airbrush for me. So I'll go over that a couple more times. And since I've got it in the brush, I'll go over this a couple more times too. And if I'm smart, I'll look around to see if there's any more orange that I missed. I don't think there is. There is on this headlight over here, but well, let me show you. So the passenger side headlight is a good example. It's got a little bit of orange reflection there. So if I take just the orange on the gray and drop that in right there, it becomes this really darker orange than what I've got here. So that's fine for the reflection there, because it is a darker color, and then it even goes darker as it goes around the bottom of the headlight. But if I needed body color, if I needed bright like this, I have to put something underneath it to get it to work. So there we go. Simon Carter, are we watching through the new macro lens? Yeah, Paul, yeah, you got the new bright shiny Canon macro lens. I finally got around to getting a frame for Bounty on Best Bit. Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome, Simon. Good. Yeah, Jackie's great. All right, I kind of hit this pipe a little bit with the orange when I shouldn't have. It kind of just got away from me. And again, it's normal operating business for the razor blades that this kind of stuff happens. So it's a constant just back and forth, you know, fixing it and shaping it. And I mean, I feel like it's a lot like carving, and it really, that's the best way to describe it. So I'm constantly like carving things back out again. You know, it gets lost somewhere in there, so I just carve it out again. And it seems to be the best description for what's going on with all this. All right, same thing with this front pipe. There's some really nice, really thin reflections along the front of this that just kind of got wiped out along the way. So while I'm sitting here with the white and the brush, I can just kind of pick at those and get those back up too. All right, under here, this is all asphalt under here. So what I'm going to do to get that, I'm not going to try to do what I did with I did all this asphalt texture with the airbrush. So all that speckling and everything, that beautifully small like asphalt type look, I did that all with the airbrush. I don't want to do that in here because I'd have to cut out a template and try to match it and all this other stuff. So I'm just going to mimic it with the paintbrush just by kind of putting little stipple in there. How's the eye strain on a piece like this? Trevor, that's an excellent question. Before, like I've been doing these super, super tiny paintings since about 2010-ish. So when I first started them, it was no problem. But now what I find is it's not a problem for me. Like I can't wear my contacts or my glasses when I do this. I have to take them off. I have really good eyesight up close, but it's far away. It's brutal. I can't see anything. So what I find though now at the end of the day, if I'm doing a painting like this all day, say 8 hours worth of razor blade painting, if I don't take regular breaks, like every 20, 30 minutes, and just like kind of look farther away than a foot, by the end of the day, my eyes are super fatigued. Like it would be like if you're on your phone all day for 12 hours. So I tend to like, that's when it really affects me now. So I mean, you know, and I've always got it in my back pocket. If there comes a day someday when painting really super tiny is doing damage, I can always switch to working larger. But until that day, you know, I'm going to keep having fun with these until, you know, until the wheels fall off, essentially. All right, so I've got white in here again, and it's the same thing. Now I'm going back in and I'm re-carving out those little, maybe some of those black areas that didn't really work. And I got some gray here too, so I can keep working on the asphalt as well. So I've got a darker gray now here. So what I'll do here is I'll start kind of, this is almost time to replace this brush too. There's some errant hairs kind of sticking out on this now. So I've got a new one ready to go, but I try to get as much as I can out of them. So for the gray underneath where the asphalt is, I'll just start like just stippling really like fine gray dots in there. It's in the shadow, so again, so it doesn't, it's not going to make that big of a difference in the end. It's not like I had to do a repair out here. If I had to do a repair out here, I'd probably have to re-airbrush it, because getting those little tiny dots right there are really difficult with the paintbrush, but not so much with the airbrush. It's just a matter of dropping the pressure down. But under here, it's all pretty much in shadow anyway, so it doesn't have to be a perfect match for what's going on outside, you know, on the regular part. But that locks all that in, and it also redefines the top edge of those pipes as well, which is nice. All right, I'll finish that after. The other thing that's been happening too is as I'm growing older, you know, when you get older, like all kinds of stuff starts happening. But one thing I noticed with my hand, I'm super fortunate here again. A lot of airbrush artists get carpal tunnel from that repetitive motion of the trigger back and forth. I've been real fortunate and not had that. But what I do notice is somewhere up in here in my thumb, sometimes when I'm working and then I'll move my hand the right way, it'll just crack, like right in there. I have no idea what that is. It doesn't hurt or anything. It just, like I said, weird old stuff. Come on, come back to me. Come back to me. The lens is great, man. It's trying. One of the this lens was recommended to me by Tom Nguyen, who's an excellent artist. Comic book, I should say comic book artist, but he's a comic artist for DC and a lot of other, you know, publications. So he's also a fantastic photographer. So way back when I bought this camera, I sent him a message and said, hey Tom, I need a good macro lens to take pictures of all this stuff, the razor blades and everything. So he was the one who recommended this lens, and it has been amazing. It's smaller and lighter than most macro lenses. It's also internal focus, which means the lens doesn't get longer or shorter as it focuses. All that happens inside. But the downside that I found on this lens, not for me, but in general, is it needs to be on a tripod to get the best effect with it, because it's smaller and it focuses the way it does. But for me, it's always on a tripod or it's on a stand, so it didn't matter, but still. All right, I think that's dry now in here. So now what I can do is I can take that, I'll take a little bit of red oxide and a little bit of black to make kind of a really darkish brown. And then I'm going to really over reduce that. So I'm going to put a bunch of reducer on the palette and make a really, almost like a wash with it. And that's what I'm going to use to get to this color up here. Again, this is too small really to airbrush. I could cut a template out, but again, it's not really worth it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get, there's a hair in there too, that sucks. I gotta get that hair out of there. So I'll dry off the brush real quick and then pull that hair out. There we go. All right, so back to it. So it's just gonna, same thing, to build up that color in there, to get it dark like that, I'm gonna have to make a bunch of passes. And again, what I'm trying to mimic is what happened with the airbrush, which was orange, and then I airbrushed the black over it. So I'm trying to get to that. So I got to just do it, and then really got to get off it and let it dry, because it's, as long as it's wet, every time I run the brush over it, it's just going to pull the paint. So that's no good. I have an issue with my thumb as well. Carpal tunnel is a pain. Yeah, Trevor, that's the thing with any kind of repetitive motion, especially airbrushing, computer work, all that stuff. Yeah, carpal tunnel's bad. My, drumming or guitar playing. So yeah, for all the years I've been doing this, I'm super, super fortunate, knock on wood, that that I haven't had any problems that way. All right, so to kind of clean up or get the fender ready, I'm going to roll this thing around upside down. I'm going to thin out this edge of this fender to where it should be, because right now it's a little bit too big, too thick. Now this is the shadow inside the wheel well, and it's also the tire itself. So it'll eventually be airbrushed. I'll airbrush this in, but by taking care of the edge here with a paintbrush, I have much more control over how thin that gets than if I try to line a stencil up with that. So again, it's all about picking battles. So I'm just going to kind of, I know the rest of this will be black where the tire is, but by setting the edge here, I don't have to worry about it when I put the template on. It's already done. And I get a nice thin orange line, way thinner than I could probably just paint in. Honey Rivera, what's up? Oh, good, Simon, thank you. Yeah, now they're all in the same, whatever. We're not in the same time zone, but we're in the same daylight savings garbage. Like, it isn't hard enough, man. They need to turn that off. They need to just stop that silliness. All right. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you probably didn't see it. Well, you might have seen it. Stop it. Stop that. There we go. Hopefully that's in focus. So one of the things, my uncle, who had passed away in 2010, great watercolor artist, Marine combat artist, just an amazing guy. He was drawn. He was in the Marines, and then he was re-signed up and went to Vietnam as a combat artist. And he worked primarily in watercolor. So he was the one who actually turned me on to these brushes way back. And so one of the things he taught me was to point a brush. See how the brush is nice and pointed? There are a couple ways to do it. You can tap it on a hard surface when there's water in it, and then if it's a good brush, it'll come out to a perfect point. But the other way to do it, and this is the way they do it in the factory at Winsor Newton, you actually just take the brush and you put it in your mouth and pull it out, and that will straighten it all out too. So the first time I saw him do that, I was horrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And he looked at me and he goes, if your brush isn't that clean that you can put it in your mouth, it's not clean enough. And I'm like, oh, so there you go. Gary Shees, what's up, buddy? All right. So that's good, that's good, that's good. So I should still work in this area down here, I think, a little bit. What am I seeing in there? Oh, white highlights, okay. Yeah, I'll put a couple white highlights before I move on. So there's one leading up. There's another hair on there. Where are they coming from? Oh, they might. I know what that's. They're ending up in the palette. That's how they're getting in. Where was I? Okay. Couple little bright highlights in here before I do a little bit of shading. And I think there's a, yeah, there is. There's a sticker down here on the car. I'm going to leave that off. But any of the little highlights I can grab now, since I got it in the brush, I'll pull out a couple of those. There is one, there's a beauty. There's one on the top of that Ford logo, because it looks like it's a badge, like an inset badge. So to be able to get that one would be fun. So that one is here. So I'll flip this back around, upside down again, because to get that, it's going to have to be over here. Oh, it already dried out. All right. What happens is if you take too long, the brush dries out, and then, but you also don't want it to do this. You don't want it too thin, because then it'll just flood out. Teach you guys another technique type trick too. I'll need to finish this first, and then I'll show you. There we go. Got it. Okay. So let me show you this. This is kind of a neat trick too. All right. So brushes, the way they work is the, come back to me. Come on. Oh, it's having a hard time focusing on all this stuff here. I get it. Okay. I'll use the reference photo because it'll be able to focus on that. Okay. The way a brush works is you fill it with wet paint. It fills all those bristles, and then as soon as, like a pen, as soon as you touch it to the surface and start, like, get some paint on the surface, the paint is going to want to flow out onto the, like, to follow the wetness of the brush, of the paint. So there's a dry brush technique, which is what I'm doing right here. As I pull the paintbrush across, I get like this jagged dry stroke. What that is that's not the same thing. That's essentially just pushing the bristles on the surface and then just basically rubbing the paint off of the bristles. And that's not really the way a paintbrush works, or it's supposed to work. And you can certainly do that. It has a neat effect. Stop with the focusing. Let me try this. Hold on. Here's experiment number 2. Turn that off. There we go. Just leave it there. All right. Wait, oh, when does discount start? Gary, it's up right now for everyone else, for the people who watch this feed and the Facebook feed, but I won't announce it till Black Friday. So this really just kind of gives the people who are hanging out and supporting all the live stuff, just gives them first dibs at it. But it's SL22. And again, it's 30% off everything in the store. So that's up now. If you use that code, it's actually active now. All right, so back to the brush. So what happens is when you have the brush paletted with the right, or let's go the other way first. So if I have the paint too wet in the brush, when I go to touch the surface, that same action will happen, but it'll blob out like that. It'll just, all the paint will just rush out of the paintbrush and end up on the surface. So there is a happy medium. That's what people say when they palette the brush. There is a viscosity of paint that's perfect, so that when you put the tip of the paintbrush down, it will just feed off as you pull the brush. And that's what you're looking for. I totally wish I could tell you it's X part A, or X part Y, for instance, but there isn't a set. It's more, it comes from a feel, and it comes from just kind of working with the paint and the brushes, because honestly, like it is with the airbrush, the paint is different depending on what color it is, so it can be slightly different, and you do pick up the feel. So when it's right, what I end up doing is like just touching the surface, getting the paint started, and then I'm able to like just pull that across. Now that's too dry. So again, the trick is to not just start painting. You touch the surface to get that wet dot on there, and then as you pull it across, then the paint will want to come out the way it's supposed to. So that's really how you get those super fine lines. It isn't that you just simply just go in and paint, because that's stuff like that will happen. I have to get it started first. I just dot it where the line starts, and then I pull it. Now this is too dry again, but you get the idea. So hopefully that's a little bonus. Oh, Gary, no, I mean, you could definitely tell people. That's fine. Again, it's just like a little bonus for the live feeders, that they get to use that code first while all the, basically everything is up there. The only thing that's not up there yet is this painting here, which will be, and the tins that I'm doing. So those are the little 2" by 3" tin containers. I painted up 6 of those, so they're going to be 1 through 6. At first I thought they were going to be limited, and those are the only 6 I'm going to do like that, but I went online and ordered a bunch of Altoid tin boxes that are blank, and that are black as well. So I think I'm going to, if I have the time, I think I'm going to do a second run, but something a little bit different. So just for the cool kids. That's exactly it, Gary. For the cool kids. All right. Where was I? Oh, we're actually doing really well. So I've got that. Actually, the top of this. So okay. You guys are. That's in focus, right? Yeah. So you can see the blue there. So that highlight came out okay, but it's not really perfect. But again, that highlight was done with white. So what I can do, since it's easier to paint the logo than it is to paint that highlight, what I can do now is I can go in with the blue again, and the same thing, I can carve that back out so that that white highlight on the top of that logo is like ridiculously small, like that. Best part about this, when someone who knows this car, or knows it's a 23 Ford, or even if it's an old Ford, they're going to see that little blue oval right in the middle of all this orange. You're going to know that's a Ford logo, even though there's no Ford on it. The Leahy Lazies. Honey, I do not want a name for the group. So many people I'm following have these groups associated with them. And it's always the artist name and then something. I don't want that. You guys can just hang out. All right, where am I? Where am I? Got all that. That looks good. All right, there's some, no, that's gone. This is what I mean. So now I'm seeing all the detail that's on this motor up here, right? And I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing down here. But that's when it takes looking at this guy here to really see what's visible. Like even now, like I could see that I have that Ford logo in the wrong spot. It's pushed back a little bit farther. So I'm going to be neurotic and I'm going to fix that. And that's something that I would have caught had I looked at this before I looked at the big photo. But that's okay, because we can fix it now. And so I'm actually going to blow, same thing. So for this repair, I'm going to blow out half the logo, but I'm going to keep some of it because some of it is actually still there. So instead of just blowing out the whole thing and having to do the entire thing all over again, I'll just cut out half of it. Honey, I have not. Lee Jordan, what's up? Good evening, Lee. Honey, I haven't, and that's, I don't know. I mean, right now it's going to be Thursday Live, but there should be a good name for it. Just don't know what it is. Oh, I just dropped a template in the palette. Oh, lucky. Didn't get anything on it. Yay. And another one fell out. That's not good either. I'm not pushing these ones in far enough. There we go. Okay. What was I doing? Okay, logo. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll pull that back out with white on the back side of it. But this time I'm going to watch the photocopy and get it more like that, instead of looking above where the bigger photo is. So again, we talking a lot about the 543s and how they work. So an adjustment like that right there that I'm doing right now would not have happened on a 543. I would have left it in the wrong spot, because in the end, I mean, for that, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. And again, the goal for those 543s is to get them done within a certain amount of time. Okay, so now the blue puts the logo back in, and actually, because I left half of it in there, that's pretty much done. So it's worth the effort. All right, so now I can finish darkening stuff. So I still have that black and red oxide. So that is what I'm going to use for kind of darkening the stuff around here. There's a couple layers of that on here anyway, so I've already got a jump on it. It's a good chance to kind of build up some more on it. Bottom of that pipe, what's going on there? Nothing. That's orange. Okay, good. And again here, so this has got plenty of time to dry now. So I can put a couple more coats on this too. That's good. Javier, what's up? Nice to see you too. Where am I at? Oh, there's a highlight underneath the pipes. That's fun. I should have got that in already, but I did not. So we'll get that in now. So this is another one where the line, where it's the reflection of the ground off the bottom of the pipes right here. It is thinner than a human hair. So it is super crazy tiny. Tinier than I could paint. So what I'm going to have to do is, again, do it in reverse. So I'm going to paint in the white first to get it in. And I'm going to try to get it as thin as I can. But I know there'll be, I know I won't get it right, because it's not possible with this brush to get something that fine by just painting it in. I'm going to check the third one. All right, so the fourth one doesn't actually have that reflection on it, because it's apparently picking up most of the motor, so it doesn't you can't see the asphalt. So those are in there now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn it around, and I'm going to thin it out again with that black. So this is how I can get it super crazy thin. Because again, the paintbrush has limitations, but the edge of the paintbrush does not. As long as I can get that edge closer and closer, I can make this thinner and thinner till it's nearly impossible to have painted. So even right now, that white line right there is way thinner than I could put in with just the brush. But hopefully you can see that. So look at the white line on the first one compared to the white line on the second one. The second one's twice the size. Franz, what's up? Awesome. Oh, cool, Javier. That's awesome. Your English will be better than mine. I guarantee it. All right, so same thing here. So this, I just kind of really, I shouldn't be talking when I'm doing this, because when you're rolling up on that edge like that, how close can I get you guys to that? Let's try it. What could go wrong? You're off to the side, but we'll see what we can do here. That's good. Yeah, you're off the side. I'm going to move this because it's way too off to the side, but just so you can see it. Actually, yeah, you are. You're too far off the side. Move this over a little bit. Like this. You guys are so freaking close right now. Hold on. Oh, I do love this lens. There we go. So see how, all right. So now you can see that line. I'll turn it a little bit so you can get the regular view. So see that line under that pipe now? So there's the brush. Now you remember when you were back farther how small that brush is? Well, here's my finger. That's my index finger. So that line is half the distance or half the diameter of a human hair. And the line I'm talking about is that secondary reflected line under here. So I'm sitting, you can see in the overhead cam, I'm probably about 1.5 feet back. I can't see that line from back here. That's how small that is. And again, it's a process that got it there. More than yeah, it does take a steady hand to get that like that, but it's 80% process and 20% hand. It really is. So, but actually now you get a pretty good view of the whole thing. I don't know if I can paint like this though, because you are like right on top of it again. This is, you can see it up above, the camera's right here. My boss keeps telling me I have to work. Nice. Now Gary, you're not wrong, but you don't have to tell everyone. All right, so now that I've got that, I'm looking up here, the spark plug wires where they come off the distributor cap, they're pretty much non-existent here. And what I've done is, I've used the fact that the edge of the razor blade is here as a kind of an excuse not to paint them in, but I really should. So I think I'm gonna put a few of those in. It's the same thing with this. I can't get the orange to stand on that black by itself, so it needs a base. So I'm going to use white to do that. And because the razor blade handle is there itself, I really don't have to put too many of these in. In fact, I don't think I need to put one in to really, you know, make up for it. But getting it in there is a whole other story, because the edge of the blade is there too, and that stops things from happening. Try it again. Yeah, that's in a really weird spot, because if I touch so that capillary action, that paint flowing off the brush, there we go. Nailed it. I'm putting another one in. Screw it. Ah, I knew I'd blow it. That capillary action works the same way. If the brush hits that handle first, that paint will shoot down the handle. It'll just flow out onto the because it's got this nice channel in the actual physical razor blade to just run down. And ask me how I know. You know, it's all about the base. Oh man. So yeah, so I had to be real careful right there. I'm just gonna, like, I kind of connected those two and I shouldn't have. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of black between them. Like that, just to kind of break it up. Let that dry a little bit, I'll hit that with orange, and then that'll make me happy. Happy camper. Uh-oh, it's bad when Honey starts retracting messages. Oh boy. All right, and I'll also throw out there too, if someone is interested in this blade, and no, I'm not gonna do that, never mind. If you're interested in this blade, it will be up before, I guarantee this blade will be up during the sale. And if by some weird stretch I don't get it finished before the end of the year, which is not really possible, I mean, I will have it done. But if it doesn't get done, I will still extend the sale on this blade too. So if you have your heart set on this and want a little, hot rod razor blade, this will still fall under the sale. I'll make sure of it. And if you're curious on the price, just if you go to the website, it'll be the same price as Bucket List, the other hot rod razor blade. All right. Oh no, what did Simon do? I call you a hoe. I did not. Did not. All right. You guys are outrageous. All right, let me see what else we got here. What can I do next? These blades are so much fun because they take up such a small area, right? But it seems like there's a million things to do. But before you know it, before I know it, I'm actually at a spot where, like, wow, I got a lot done on that. It never feels like it. It feels like you're literally nitpicking the thing, and you are nitpicking it to death. But you don't realize you're making, kind of headway on it. I think about the the Island Creek painting, and that was the same way, but on a bigger scale. I kept working on it, and even though I'd work on it for, a few hours, I'd look at it and go, what did I do, Nice, you keep inviting us Brits here, what do you expect? That's awesome. All right, so I've got white in here. I'm just gonna, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna move the bigger copy. You guys can't see it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You guys can't even see the other copy, yikes. That's cool. All right. I like it. This won't be priced the same as Bucket List. Yes, Gary, it will be the same as Bucket List. So. The frame for this will be some sort of exotic hardwood. It's nice that it's orange because I've got some really nice complementary, the Brazilian cherry that I have which probably what this is going to be. The Brazilian cherry is really nice. There's I have a rosewood too that's really, really nice. What I usually do is when the painting is done, then I kind of look at the whole thing and go from there. Yeah, but I don't know what frame this is going to have yet. Yeah, honey, no, it wasn't you guys on that. Island Creek was its own beast for sure. All right, what I think I'm going to do next is I really feel like I want to, even though there's more that needs to be done on the motor, I want to block in the interior here, because I think if I get the interior done, then that'll make me feel better about things. And on that note, what I'll probably end up doing is then blocking in the rest of the parts. Thinking that might be a good way to go. So let me block in the interior with you guys, and then that'll probably be just about enough for today. I am really super happy with these. It's funny, I wait for something to go sideways because it always does, but this blade has just been coming along pretty solidly all the way through. And what's nice is it's just everything is kind of gelling. Everything's working out well with it. And now you guys will be real close when I cut this thing too. So let me do that. Well, I think the new lens is working out. That's a bonus. Now, I shouldn't say new lens. It's actually my old lens. I've had it forever. I've had it for probably 7 or 8 years, this macro lens. But like I said, it's only been on my DSLR. I only use it to take photos of this stuff. I've obviously never done a live feed with it. All right, so the interior. There's enough going on here that I can probably leave the steering wheel, or is that too much work? That's too much work. So I was gonna try to cut out around the steering wheel, but the return on investment there is not worth it. What am I looking at the frame of this window too? Awesome. Good, Simon. Good. Okay, so yeah, so all the stuff, all the chrome work around the window is, well, there it is. All the stuff around the windows is chrome anyway, so I'm going to cut that out as if it's white, because that'll act as the base for the chrome anyway. And I'm going to ignore the steering wheel too. It's just going to be so much easier than trying to cut that out. And for the end of what it would give me, it wouldn't give me much, So there's the interior. Now, is there anything white that I can... I don't know what I'm going to do with the license plate yet. I'm not going to use his license plate, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. So I'm going to leave that. I could do the wheel, although the wheel is more gray than white, so I don't think I'm going to do the wheel. Headlights, I already got. So there's really nothing else. Yeah, that's it. Okay. There you go. All right, honey. That's good. You guys are stupid close right now. All right. Yeah, you guys are really close. Wow. Yikes. All right. So we'll line this up. Really easy to line this one up. There's because the edge of the body is there, and I've already got the body painted in white. I mean in orange. So what I'm really need to let me use my English. What I'm really concerned with is not getting any white on the body of the car or on the background. Because I mean I haven't dealt with the background yet, which is unusual. Usually I do that first. I don't know why I did it this way, but so what I'm going to make sure is that I have a magnet right on there to hold all that down. My finger will hold this down, and then I'll see if I can get a magnet on the other side. This may be too close. No, it's going to work. Sometimes when you're that close, the magnets will snap together, but that's holding up pretty darn well. Careful, don't bump your head. I know, honey, that's why, it's been a problem not having the macro lens. Even, well, not that it's helping out now. This is a bigger setup and I'm still going to bonk my head on it, but the fact that you guys are this close makes me super, super happy. I'm not going to be able to use this lens on everything, but now that I have the option for it, again, like I couldn't back up enough so that I could show you the whole board so that you could look at 543s on Monday. So I'm going to have to I mean, it's easy to swap these lenses out. I can do that, but yeah. So I've got opaque white in the cup. There it is right there. Just going to hold this part down and really lightly just build this up. I'm going to slide that magnet over a little bit more. The trick is the handle. You can see the line from the handle right there. So there is a gap. The handle is holding the template up off the surface. So there is going to be a repair that I'll have to do there, but if I'm lucky, it's just going to be really slight. But yeah, the paint is going to get under there. There's no way to stop that, unfortunately. I mean, I could use an adhesive mask there, but that's a lot of work when it's like nothing to clean it up. This car in the end is going to be like an orange creamsicle, which may be the title of this painting. Who knows? All right. So you see that little, yeah, you can see it because you're closer than I am. All right. There's that overspray right here. That's not quite orange right here anymore. Now, fortunately, there's a highlight there too. So that works out really, really well. It's convenient that that worked out like that. So now what I can do is I can just take the straight orange and just repair that edge. Again, because I'm dealing with white overspray, which is perfect, it allows me to just paint the orange on top of it and just take any of that overspray out. And it's only on this bottom section because that's where the template was being held up. So I'm just being real careful. And then I can run around the outside edge a little bit just in case there was a little bit of overspray, which there really wasn't. It was very clean, worked out well. And that's the interior. So this has such a cool look now. I mean, that's one of the reasons I kind of block these things in too, because it changes the complexion just by getting the bulk of it in. Like when I put the wheels in now, it's going to be like, it'll all come together. It'll really start to come together. But it's working out pretty well. So that's kind of where we're at, I'm thinking. If you guys have any, yes, thank you, honey. Please hit the like button if you're new. Please subscribe if you're watching this after the fact. Like and subscribe and leave me a comment and let me know you're new. And we do this every Thursday, so well, you don't need reminders necessarily. You can always hit the notify button, the bell icon, and that way if I do go live randomly, you'll know it. So please do that. The channel is growing, and I can't thank you guys enough. It's all you guys. So there you go. That is the progress on the blade. It's coming out. It's really coming out. I've even left myself room to sign it over here too, which sometimes I don't do. All right, which is good. All right, hello. That's what I got so far. So excellent. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to spend the rest of the day working on those black and whites for Monday. If you'd like to see what they are, come back on Monday nights. And again, if you're watching this after the fact, every Monday night we do live feed on Facebook. So come over and join us there. And every Thursday is live on YouTube. So we try to cover all the bases. The other program note, and you've probably noticed this yesterday if you are subscribed, that the Open Studio, the Harley painting, which drops every Wednesday, or Thursday, is now dropping every Wednesday. And that just kind of spreads out the content so you're not getting it all on one day like you were before. So that's what I got. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you all for your comments and jumping in. Makes it a lot of fun. I'm going to get back to work now and get things going. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And stay safe. Be nice to one another. And yeah, I will catch you guys all on the next one. Thanks a lot.